Sample problem 2.6 in chapter 2 allows us to build on using the periodic table as our cheat sheet. And so if we look at the periodic table here, and this is not a full periodic table, but it's one that actually shows us the ions that will be formed by different elements, we can see that there's an organization to it, such that anything that's in this first column here all wants to lose one electron and become +1 charged. Everything that's in this seventh column wants to gain one electron and become -1 charged. And this all has to do with this magic number 8, that every element wants to have 8 electrons in its outer shell. And so we need to think about losing 1 electron, 2 electron, or 3 electrons are going to allow us to be -1, -2, or -3 charged. Or we could gain 3, gain 2, or gain 1 electron, making us -3, -2, or -1. So just by finding where an element is on the periodic table, that will allow us to figure out what the charge is that that ion wants to have. So kind of going through these fairly quickly here because they're pretty straightforward. Iodine is found as a halogen, so it's found in group 7. So it has what we call 7 electrons in its outer shell. So it wants to gain 1 electron to have that magic number of 8. Gaining 1 electron means it's going to have a negative charge. And sometimes this can be a little bit confusing for students because they think, well, how can you gain something and become negative? But when you gain something negative, you gain the negative charge that comes with it. So if we consider B is calcium. Calcium is what we call an alkaline earth metal. It lives in group 2 or column 2 in the periodic table, meaning that it has 2 electrons. To get to its magic number of 8, it's actually going to lose those 2 electrons and live with the 8 that's in the shell below it. We'll learn more about this in a few chapters. But by losing 2 electrons, that means that calcium ion is going to have a charge of +2. Now, sometimes people will write calcium +2, sometimes they'll write it 2+. Both are correct. It's just a difference in formalism with how it's sometimes done. The last one here is aluminum. And aluminum is going to have 3 electrons that it's going to lose, and that's going to end up being aluminum 3+. And again, aluminum was one that we saw when we were looking at our periodic table over here. It's in group 3A, meaning that it has 3 electrons in its outer shell. It wants to lose all 3 of those to have the 8 electrons that we see in this noble gas over here, and that will give it a charge of +3.